a conversation. So thought I'd bring it up, but we'll move on to the Auburn Tigers football team. And so, I kind of want to dive into the roster a little bit now and do some prognostication and do some kind of evaluation of what's going to be the important things.
You'll have to explain to me what all that means.
Key players. I'm sure you're fine. So we'll start with special teams. I'll throw it to Kraus because he's always got the best opinion on Auburn special teams. Let's hear
it. You have the best kicker in college football.
As per the
now
usual.
Zane Gonzalez of ASU has graduated and was drafted. There is not a better kicker in college football. There are good kickers too out there, but this is the best one. He's the most experienced. I think he's the top field goal percentage guy in the nation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Still going, active. He's a weapon. And you don't talk about kickers like that very much.
No, but he's very, very good.
I think
he's a big boy too.
Yeah, that's true. I think
he's
the thing 6'5". On special teams to really look out for, I think we're steady. You're steady in the kicking game. I think it's the return game that there's some really intriguing guys that are really good athletes.
Sure, John Franklin.
That can put the ball on the ground and make plays happen.
Yeah, they can put the ball on the ground indeed.
Have to see if they can hold on to the ball and be sure-handed when it comes to making smart decisions.
It helps if you don't carry it like
That's
a
the
loaf
hardest
of
part
bread.
about
But
returning and hopefully we find there's some more depth that you don't have your starting running backs playing kickoff return.
That'll never happen.
Kraus, Lex and I were having this discussion pre-show as well, and I wanted to get your take on this. Lex thinks that Franklin III represents a really good punt returner, and by no means do I think he wouldn't be really good, but I see him more as a kickoff returner guy myself with that straight line speed that he has and that one cut that he can make. But I certainly think he could be good at punt returning. Where do you see him fitting in the special teams?
Like I said, punt return is much different than a kickoff return. You punt returners got to be really sure-handed, and I'm not saying kick returners don't either, but there's just an uneasiness to how the ball carries and the height of it. Where kickoff returns pretty much the same almost every time, and punting and fielding punts is really hard. And there's just not enough history to say John Franklin III can or can't do it. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see if he's got the hands for it, and if not, I think you get a less dynamic athlete back there like last year. But you really never saw any punt returns, but you never saw any punt fumbles either.
Well, the less dynamic punt returner we had most of last year, fortunately, has graduated. So,
right.
You
always want to put your most dynamic athletes back there, but sometimes you just get a Wes Welker, or you get a Julian Edelman, or you get the guy who you just know he's not going to drop it, and he's going to make really good decisions with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but remember, Gus also has a serious case of senioritis.
Well,
if you're an upperclassman, he's going to put you in regardless of talent level.
And that may be, but we got to look at who the punt returner who grew
John
into that position.
Third is seriously talented, though,
and he's a senior. But also, don't forget the one positive play we had against Alabama last year, and that was the opening.
Senior.
It was the opening punt return. No, but he is a senior this year, and that's Stephen Roberts.
Yeah. Stephen Roberts is a very good punt returner. He should have been doing it.
I thought he was great last year.
No, it was Marcus Davis mostly.
Yeah, it was Marcus Davis up until the Alabama game.
Marcus Davis was a pitiful punt returner.
He didn't drop the ball, but he would just catch it and fall on it.
That's it.
Yeah.
He was pitiful in terms of getting any return and yards. He was sure-handed. I'll give him that much. But beyond sure-handed, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I said, sometimes that's just what you get in their punt game. You play it really, really safe.
I think special teams wise, we're good. If you look at our kicking game, obviously we're in spectacular position. Our return game is a question mark. I think we have the athletes and the ability to be solid there, at least, and potentially could be very good to great. It just is going to depend on how things shake out. So we'll move on to defense, and before we get into individual positions or individual players to watch, I'm curious, Kraus, to get your opinion. Do you think the defense? Obviously, we had some notable losses and Carl Lawson and Monty Adams. Do you think the defense is going to be better or worse or about the same this year?
Oh, well, I mean, you look at the roster and you lost some really good front four play. Drafted high NFL picks. But the cupboard's not bare.
No.
The cupboard's fully stocked with kids that are ready to play. I think the sum of the parts is better. I think you're going to be better at linebacker. I don't think the drop-off in the defensive line is going to be as bad as we think it is. And I think the secondary takes a step into top 10 in the nation status. So I really, really have an easy time seeing a unit that plays much better than last year consistently.
You know, the funny thing?
And has big plays and gets off the field a lot easier than last year.
You know, our defense was phenomenal last year. When you look at the numbers, it's better than it seemed when you look at the record, right? But our defense played fantastic football last year. If we can be as good or slightly better, then we're in fantastic shape. But I agree with you. I think that we have a chance to be significantly better on a regular basis. And I don't mean, I mean, obviously last year our defense had their moments where we just stopped everybody. But what I'm saying is that we have a chance to be that good all the time. And it won't be moments, and our moments will be even better than our moments were last year. So I think the potential is absolutely there. Christopher, your take?
I agree with you that the potential is absolutely there. Now, will that potential, become a reality? That's the question. I think Marlon Davidson, and I don't want to, like you said, individual. I don't want to step into that just yet, but I just wanted to mention him because I think he's taken the next step this year.
Well, we'll go ahead and jump right in that because for the defensive line, that was my key player that I had picked out was Marlon Davidson.
Well, he's hard not to pick out on the defensive line to an extent. I mean, he's going to be something.
I mean, he had a better year
last year already.
He had a better true freshman year than Carl Lawson did. And Carl Lawson turned heads all across the country his true freshman year, and Marlon Davidson, I think, had a better year than Carl Lawson did. He was more solid, certainly more consistent, game in and game out, production-wise. And you didn't run to his side successfully very often last year.
That's true, and he was constantly getting through the line too. He's one of those 100% motor guys, and that's I think what I like the most about him. Mm-hmm. He's always running hard. You don't see him taking plays off, and that to me is as much a talent as anything else. But he also has the measurables too. I mean the kid's 6'3", 282. He ain't little.
No.
As a defensive end, that's pretty big.
It is, and he didn't seem to lose anything quickness-wise. Go ahead, Kraus.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, looking over the schedule, and I know that ended up number 7 in the nation, points per game, right ahead of Washington at 17 a game. It's just really hard to keep offenses from scoring in this day and age. But looking at the weaker schedule that you're playing this year, I could really see about the same scoring average. But it also depends on what the offense does and what the offense looks like. The reason you don't score as many points against Auburn is because they have the ball so dang long, because they run the ball so much.
Right.
If you have more of a passing offense that's high powered and is moving the ball or doing those kind of things and isn't as ball control-y, you might see an uptick in points given up. But I don't think that means your defense is playing any less well than it did last year.
See, here's the thing, though. I mean, Auburn's last year was not the frenetic pace necessarily that we're used to seeing Auburn run over the years, and Lord knows Christopher and I had complaint after complaint after complaint about how many seconds were on the play clock whenever we snapped the ball. We had delay of game penalties. Auburn doesn't get delay of game penalties, but we did. So I guess
nobody can stop the up-tempo offense as well as Gus can.
That's absolutely the truth, and I think Rhett
Number
Lashley
one defense against up-tempo.
Rhett Lashley was a part of that also in his obsession with audibles. But I digress a little bit. But Auburn, the thing is that we're a dynamic offense, and even though it's not frenetic, there were plenty of games where we scored in a couple minutes. I mean, if you go back and you watch the Ole Miss game from last year, it was kind of a shootout there with Chad Kelly and Sean White at the top of his game last year. But, we ran the ball a lot, and we still scored quickly. So, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily even a time of possession. I'd be curious to go back and look at that, and we obviously haven't. I'd be curious to go back and look at that and compare. Maybe we'll have it for the next podcast, time of possession each game, and see if we are in fact dominating time of possession. Because some of those drives were long and drawn out. The Mississippi State game comes to mind, where we just absolutely ran it down their throat and got 5 yards a pop every single time, and we'd take 8 minutes off the clock on a touchdown drive. And we get it back in 3 plays and 8 more minutes in a touchdown drive. And it'd been a quarter gone. We've scored twice, and they ran 3 plays. That happened too, but that wasn't always the case.
I think I don't know if this year and last year can be comparative because of a new offensive coordinator
and a capable quarterback
and a new quarterback. I think we're just playing a different game. This isn't checkers anymore; it's chess.
I'm good with this. I accept this. My name's Chris Overhouse. I approve this message. But getting back to the defense too. I think the kid that you didn't see from last year because of an injury. Somebody that I am really looking for. Kid's name's Paul James III. He's a JUCO transfer. He's 6'3", 260 pounds. He actually has 2 more years of eligibility. That kid's a stud. I'm hoping he didn't lose that much from the injury. Like I said, you remember when I was talking about whatever L's in our body we seem to tear on during the off season? Well, he was one of those victims last year. So I'm really excited to see what Paul James III is going to do. But that's a kid to keep your eye on. Remember that name. Now watch him not do anything.
I had the exact same name written down, so I'll just pass on.
I've seen this kid and I've heard about him, and spelled on the defensive line. I thought he did a good job playing really limited minutes. at that buck rush end position.